Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last day of career camp. This is APH Virtual Excel Camp for 14 to 22-year-olds. Glad to have you with us today. As you get in and get comfortable, remember to change your to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see what you're writing. We're glad to have you. Welcome to the APH Virtual Excel Camp. This is our last day of career camp. Hope you're ready to get to work. I am going to turn it over to Jen and Amber. It's all yours.
Hey everybody, welcome back to day 5 of our career camp. This is Jen speaking. We are going to be talking about some problem solving skills today and how we can overcome anything that might arise in our first little bit of time working. I am Jen Stelmach and I am a TVI in Florida.
And I am Amber Happ and I'm a TVI and O&M in North Carolina.
Let's just review our rules real quick. If you want to unmute, just make sure you have a quiet background and raise your virtual hand and we will go ahead and release your mic for you. You must join with a name, which everyone seems to be doing, but this does help when we can call on you. The chat, we've been leaving the chat open. We will try and keep our commentary down like we did the last couple days to make it easier for anyone with a screen reader to be able to focus the best. And make sure you guys change your chat box to all panelists and attendees so everyone will be able to see your chats when you send them with any questions or answers, because we are going to have a lot of answers and interaction today. So you want to make sure everyone can see your answers, especially when it gets time to play Jeopardy. So a quick recap of the week. Who can tell me in the chat briefly what is a resume? All right, Isabel, I've released your mic.
So it's a document about all the different things for your job, and it has to be one page. And I watched a video one day, and if your resume is filled to 2 pages, you can add a footer to it to make it back to 1 page.
That is a really good tip. In case anyone runs over just slightly, you can either change your margins and so you can lengthen your page, or you can add a footer with the last little bit of information you need to squeeze in there. That's great information. Thank you, Isabel.
You're welcome.
All right, how about an application? What is a professional reference? Can anyone tell me what a professional reference is? Your boss would be a great professional reference. All right, guys, true or false? You should wear cutoff jean shorts to an interview. Perfect. I've got unanimous falses. So I am very glad to hear that no one will be wearing jean shorts to an interview. All right, so getting to work. Can you guys list one way that you might be able to get to work? Awesome, we got lots of answers here. Log on. Yeah, if you're doing virtual work, you could log on. If you're doing public transportation, it's awesome. A bus, Lyft, or Uber. If you drive a car, you can drive your car or public transportation. Those are all great ideas, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those in some of our scenarios today. So sometimes when you're working, problems do arise. Oh, Elizabeth or Isabel has a question. Go ahead, Isabel.
What was yesterday's extension activity?
Yes, I don't know off the top of my head. Honestly, I would have to look. Amber, do you remember what it was?
I'll pull it up so that we can take a peek at it.
Just give us a couple minutes, Isabel, and we'll have an answer for you.
Okay.
All right, so sometimes problems do arise when you are going to work, as you can be as prepared and practiced as possible, and just some days things don't go right. So we're going to talk about a few of the things that might go wrong, and some ways that are solutions and some ways that are not solutions to those problems. All right, so terms to know today when we're done are transportation, business attire, scheduling conflicts, public transportation versus private transportation, and then responsibility. So for problem solving, we're going to talk about some problems that might arise with transportation, your clothing that you might wear, and then scheduling conflicts. And Miss Leanne said, oh, she wrote to us in the chat that extension activity 4 was research 2 to 3 community or state resources in your area to help you with job and employment support. Thank you. So here's your guys' first scenario. It says transportation scenario. Your plan was to walk 1 mile to get to your new job. You mapped out the route last week, walked the route 2 times to make sure you are all ready for your first day. You wake up for your first day and it's pouring rain. Were you ready for this problem? Do you have a backup plan? So what are some solutions to this problem? Kennedy Faith, I released your mic.
One solution to this problem is if you can try to find an Uber or Lyft that's close to you that you could take.
Absolutely. You could absolutely call a cab, an Uber, a Lyft. That's a great idea. Noah said wear a raincoat or a hoodie. That's another great idea. And then Brianna also had written call an Uber. So let's see if these were some solution or not a solution. So you guys said call an Uber, and that's a great one. So here's one. Would you call work and tell them you can't come in? No. Yes, you absolutely would not call work and tell them you cannot come in. You are still have permission to speak if you needed to, Kennedy Faith, or if I just didn't put your hand down. And Noah said absolutely not, which is very true. You do absolutely not call in and just say you cannot come to work. It's your responsibility to get to work, and we need to make sure that we figure out a different alternative to get there. Is putting on a rain jacket, rain boots, and walking an option? Yeah, it absolutely is. You guys are right. That is definitely an option. One thing I would recommend in that situation would be to put some clothes in maybe a Ziploc bag in your backpack, some nice dry clothes. That way, when you get to work, if a little bit of the water maybe does get on you, or if you're kind of feeling sticky and uncomfortable, you could change into a nice dry outfit for work. Isabel, I released your mic.
You can also put your clothes in packing cubes.
Yeah, any way that you want to organize your bag is a great idea. My thought was just something that's waterproof. So that way, if your backpack or purse or whatever you're carrying with you gets wet, then you have a nice dry shirt, maybe some dry socks, because I know that that's one of the most uncomfortable feelings for me. If I'd walk to class in college in the rain, I always despise getting there and having wet socks all day.
Yeah.
How about the solution of wait until the rain stops, then walk? You guys think that's a good solution or a bad solution?
I think that's a great one.
I think it's absolutely dependent. If the rain stops in a few minutes and you can just power walk to work and maybe get there a little bit sweaty. Brianna, I've released your mic.
Okay, so I think it's not a good idea to wait till the rain stops, because sometimes, like, I haven't had this experience, but like sometimes like your boss expects you to like be on time every day, especially like, if you want to be a teacher and whatever. It's really like not good. Some jobs like need your help like right away. So like I would just say like find a solution, or if you know it's raining early, I would suggest leaving early. So that way like you can still like beat the rain.
Absolutely. If you can wait for, I live in Florida, so some days we have a 3-minute rain shower. So if I can wait out the 3-minute rain shower and then book it to work, absolutely. But if it's going to be raining for the next few hours and it's going to make you late for your shift, that's not really an option. You really need to be on time for any shift that you're scheduled for. So would hopping on the bus be an option? Yeah, I agree with Noah. If you know your bus routes and you know a safe way to get to work on the bus, hopping on the bus is absolutely an option. You still may get a little bit wet standing out in the rain, but depending how far away your work is, you may not be as soaked if you can just hop on the bus outside your apartment complex or something like that. And yeah, Brianna's right. It depends what time the bus is going to come to and what time you need to be at work. If it's going to take you an hour to get to work on the bus because it doesn't come for another 30 minutes, that may not be your best solution. So it's going to be really dependent on the scheduling and that kind of stuff that goes around your job. Could you call a friend and ask them to take you to work that day? Awesome. Everyone said yes. That's absolutely, I wouldn't try and wait for a friend every day and expect a friend, it's your responsibility to get there. So finding a way you can do it independently is definitely the ideal way. But if you need to every once in a while hit up your roommate or call a parent or somebody and just be like, hey, I really need a favor, could you run me to work? That can absolutely be a solution. All right, so the second scenario about transportation, it says you schedule an Uber to pick you up from work, for work at 1:30 for your 2:30 shift. That's 20 minutes from your house. It's 1:45 and you still haven't heard from your Uber driver and you have been stuck on hold with customer service for almost 10 minutes. Were you ready for this problem? Do you have a backup plan and what should you do now? You can unmute, Isabel. I see your hand. Thank you.
You could also try to run as quickly as you can to your work.
Well, the only thing I would think about there is if it's a 20-minute Uber ride away, it's probably kind of far away from work there. Can anyone think of another solution for that one? Could you try calling another cab company? Do you guys think that's a solution or not a solution? Maybe try a Lyft or a local cab company or a ride service of some kind. Anna Reshma, I've released your permission.
You can call work and say, I'm sorry, I'll be a little bit late, and try to get to work.
That's definitely something you should do. If you're ever going to be even a couple minutes late, it's really good habit to get into to just give your manager a call and say, hey, I'm so sorry, ABC came up. I'll be there as soon as I can. I'm on my way. Don't make a habit out of it, but every once in a while, most people will understand that it does happen.
Yes. Okay.
Depends, but sometimes somebody else could take even longer. That is true. Anna said that sometimes calling another cab company might take even longer, but it is worth probably checking into to see if that's an option, because if you don't get a hold of customer service for another 15 minutes and then you're still waiting for them to call the driver and see what the deal is, you definitely don't want to wait too long. So at least get a backup plan in place. Noah said try a different brand of public transportation that isn't Uber, like a bus. That's a great idea. Brianna M, I released your mic. You can unmute. I don't think your mic is working again today. It doesn't seem to be moving. Sorry. If you get a pair of headphones set up or something, just let me know and I can release your mic again. And then Hannah said, call Uber ahead of time so you don't have to be stuck with customer service as long. And that's true. This scenario, they had already scheduled their Uber, so they're just trying to figure out where their Uber is. But yes, you absolutely want to go ahead and schedule any kind of rides ahead of time. That way you make sure that they're going to be there in time. You're not sure what happened. Maybe the Uber driver got a flat tire or got stuck on another call or something like that. And it was just a freak accident that something was going on. Solution or not a solution? Should you call work and tell them that you can't come in? Kennedy Faith, go ahead.
I'd say no, because like, well, you don't want to do it, especially if you're new to the job. I'd say no unless it's like a serious emergency that happened. But
Absolutely, yeah. If there's a serious emergency, you can definitely call out because people have those. But I would not use that just because your Uber was late. I agree. Could you hop on the bus? This would make you 15 minutes late, but you will get there for most of your shift. How do you guys feel about that solution? Solution or not a solution? We got a yes and a maybe so. I agree with both of those. I would not want to use it regularly as a backup plan, but if something happens 15 minutes late is way better than not showing up for a shift. And definitely call. Kenny Face said to make sure you call, and that is so true. If you're ever going to be even 5 minutes late for work, you definitely want to call and let them know that you're running late. All right, solution or not a solution? Call a friend and ask them to take you again for this situation. So far we have unanimous yes. I agree. This is definitely a solution. This is another one of those rare occurrences. You're not guaranteeing it every day, but you just really need some help that one day. I've had to call a friend to go to work just because I had a flat tire and I didn't have time to deal with it. So it does happen. It's just having that backup plan and that person that you know you trust that you could call. All right, so we're going to move on to attire. Does anyone know what attire means? Have we used that word before this week? Yeah, it could be a work uniform. And it could just be nice clothes, like your business attire would be like the nice blouse and stuff we talked about for your interview. So it says you're like how you dress. Absolutely. Says you washed your favorite outfit because you wanted to wear it for your first day of work, but you forgot to put it in the dryer. Now it will never be drying in time. Were you ready for this problem? Do you have a backup plan, and what should you do now? So solution or not a solution? Find a different outfit to wear. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it may not be the shirt you wanted, but that's an easy fix. Just go grab something different that still looks nice and still fits your requirements for your job. Yeah, just wear the outfit another day. I like that idea, Hannah. Dry the outfit and show up late for work. Solution or not a solution? You can unmute, Isabel.
I would say it would be not a solution, because if you're if you're at work late, you probably would miss some of your shift.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. An outfit mishap is definitely not a reason to be late for work. They're gonna just expect you to put on a different shirt and a nice different pair of pants or whatever you're supposed to be wearing and get into work.
Yes.
Right. Don't let me lower your hand. There we go. All right. How about wear the yoga pants and t-shirt that you were lounging around your house in instead? Solution or not a solution? I guess that's true. If you were a yoga instructor, then maybe that would be an absolute option. Or if you worked somewhere that you didn't need to look professional. But in most instances, the lounging wear is probably not appropriate for work. So you guys are definitely correct. How about call in and tell them you can't make it today? Is that a solution or not a solution? Oh, Brianna, go ahead and unmute.
Okay, so I have a question about like work attire. So will it just like depend on where you work, what you can actually wear then?
Yeah, absolutely. Some places will give you a uniform that you wear. So you would have like, say you were working at Publix. I think they wear black slacks and their green Publix polo shirts. So they would more than likely provide the shirts, and then you just would have to go buy the pants that fit you. But then some places, like when I worked at a pizza place, I was allowed to wear jeans, and they just requested that we wear a plain black t-shirt every day. So it just really depends what kind of job and what you're doing too. Because when I was working in a preschool setting, I was definitely not wearing the dresses that I could wear when I was teaching high school, because I'm down crawling around on the floor. So some of it, nobody told me I couldn't wear the dresses, but it wasn't functional for what I was doing for work. All right, and then Ms. Amber said, some jobs may require you to wear certain pieces of clothing like a hat or non-slip shoes. So it's important to follow the dress code. And that's really true. I didn't even think about non-slip shoes. If you're working in any kind of restaurant, most of the time that they require you to wear shoes, they're called safe serve, and they have a different kind of bottom on them, which if a drink gets spilled or the tile floor behind the bar gets wet, you're not going to just slip and bust it right on the ground, because it is not done. All right, let's see what the next one. The next one is another attire scenario. You're having a great morning and got ready on time, so you had time to stop at your favorite coffee cup for a cup of morning sunshine. On your way from the coffee shop to your job, you stumbled a little bit while walking and dumped your coffee all down the front of your shirt. Were you ready for this problem? Do you have a backup plan, and what should you do now? Go ahead, Isabel.
You could try washing your shirt and then putting it in the dryer for 20 minutes.
Yes, when you get home that night, you absolutely, more than likely, if you rinse the shirt a little bit, you can get that coffee out. The problem is you're already walking to work. You're supposed to be at a shift in a few minutes.
Yes.
So we may have to make another solution for that for this time period. Kennedy Faith, you can go ahead and unmute.
Maybe like if you have the money or whatever, if there's a store nearby, maybe you could like go try to find a shirt, try to buy a shirt real quick or something.
Absolutely, I have done that. I've ripped my the leg of my pants one day at work, and I had to run into Walmart and just buy a new pair of pants because there was not really another option. I couldn't walk around with ripped pants all day. So that's really a great idea. If there's something right on your way to work it would have taken me 30 minutes to drive home and 30 minutes to get back to work again. And that I just didn't have time for that. So I went and spent a few dollars and grabbed a new pair of pants. Let's see. Do you guys think solution or not solution? Walk home and get another outfit. Do you have time to do this? And will you still be at work on time? Oh, Hannah said in the chat, I missed that. I guess you could ask your boss or coworker if you can go in the bathroom and clean it up. I think that's absolutely a solution. If any one of your coworkers drink coffee, more than likely they've had a day that they have spilled their coffee or spilled something on their shirt on the way to work. While you try to come in without stains, you definitely don't want to put on stained clothes in the morning. If you have one day that you had that accident, most of the time, unless you've got some big presentation or something that day, people are going to understand. If you can get to work in time, you can go home and change your outfit, Noah said, but if you can't, he wouldn't go home. And Hannah said it depends how close your work is. Those are all really true. If you have a couple minutes and you're only a few minutes from home and you can just run home and change outfits real quick, I think that's a really solid option. But if it's going to be late, if it's going to make you really late for work, it's probably not worth it. You could go in the bathroom at work and maybe dry it up. So solution or not a solution? Let it ruin your day, call into work, and sulk in your house all day. Absolutely. The answer is no. That's not an option for a responsible working individual. If something goes wrong in your day, you definitely need to figure out a way to overcome it and step past it and move on with your day, because every once in a while you're just going to have a bad day and you just got to work your way around it. All right, the next one says, have an oh shoot kit with you at all times. This is something that I teach my students. They have a kit with them. And I'm in my car, mine includes a Tide pen, baby wipes, an extra shirt, a hair tie, among a few other things. You guys think that would be a solution to carry a small pack of things with you? Isabel, you can unmute.
That would definitely be a solution to carry with you to work.
And that would be a good place to use the packing cubes that whoever was talking about earlier.
I was talking about those.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. You could just keep one small packing cube in the bottom of your purse with a little bit of everything that you might possibly need, whether it be a pack of mints. The Tide pen is one I use a lot, an extra hair tie in case yours breaks, that kind of thing. And then here is one more scenario. Is this a solution or not a solution? Take off your shirt and just wear your undershirt or tank top all day. Yeah, most likely that's not going to be a good option. Every once in a while, you might get lucky if you had a nice looking tank top and maybe had a sweater with you. You could just wear the tank top with a sweater over it. Or if you're a guy and you had on just a full white t-shirt and you could kind of tuck it in and make it look better, that might work. But otherwise, yeah, an undershirt is probably not going to be a very good solution. Last one for this. Solution or not a solution, just stroll into work with your stained shirt and own it. We all have bad mornings. Try your best to get it out in the bathroom sink, but most people at your work will understand. Yeah, definitely. Most works and most situations people will understand. There's a few times that this might not work, in a few settings this might not work, but overall, that people have bad mornings. It happens. We're all human, and most employers and people will absolutely understand. And Brianna had a good suggestion to drink her coffee in the morning before putting on her work uniform, which is a great idea. But every once in a while, it is so nice to stop at Starbucks on your way into work and get that really good coffee. So that's all right. So the next one we're going to talk about is, Isabel, go ahead and unmute.
If you get hungry, you can also get a cheese Danish from Starbucks with your coffee too.
That's true. You could grab an extra delicious breakfast that morning too.
Yes.
Maybe that will make your bad morning turn around a little bit if you've got a nice cheese Danish to enjoy when you get to work.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is some scheduling scenarios. So you were just offered a new position with a great company, and you're so excited to begin this new journey. They'd like you to start work next Monday, but next Wednesday through Friday, you had plans to go out of town with your family, and you would like to do both. Were you ready for this problem? Do you have a backup plan, and what should you do now? Can anyone think of a solution to this problem? Kennedy Faith, you can unmute.
I'd say just gently let your family down by telling them that you just had got a new position and it's on Monday, but that you can't come with them because of that.
Yeah, I think that is an option. I don't think I see 3 answers here. If someone said maybe ask them if you can have the next week off and then start the following week. And Noah said say no to the offer. So I think all of those are somewhat solutions, but it's dependent on you and what your needs are. And if this is a job that you really want, you could definitely tell your family no, start work, and then maybe you'll have money to go on an even more fun vacation the next time because you'll be working now. I definitely think that asking them if you could start the following week is absolutely a solution. When you agreed to go on this vacation, you were not scheduled at work. So it's not like you are calling out of work or something like that. It's something you had previously planned before you had any idea you'd be getting this job. And then someone said that they would tell their family that maybe they can go out of town the next week after they've gotten kind of more established at their job. So if that's an option to adjust your vacation some, I can definitely see where that would work too. You can say no to the offer, but it's probably not necessary. You can probably just discuss with your boss and see if there's a solution that they can help you come up with. So let's see if you guys think these are solutions or not solutions. Decline the offer because your vacation is more important. We have unanimous no's so far, and I agree. While that you can do that, if you do not think this position is good, I don't think you have to. I think you can probably come up with a solution to do both. So the next one says, when responding to the job offer, you can accept the position contingent upon you taking those 3 days off. Solution or not a solution? I got all yeses here, and I agree. I think that is most likely a solution. I did put a note that you do remember when a job offer has been presented to you, the job could rescind the offer at any time they chose. So if that wasn't okay with them, you would hope that maybe they would discuss it with you first, but they could make the choice to rescind your offer. So that's just something to keep in mind. Or you could have accept the job and call in sick on your days of vacation. Solution or not a solution? I agree. That is absolutely not a solution. For one, you're probably on a probationary period when you start a new job, and you really need to try and not call in sick the first week of work if you can at all help it. The next one, solution or not. Accept the position, but call the manager or supervisor in charge of scheduling immediately and explain the situation and see how they can work with you. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Everyone said yes or maybe. This is definitely an option. You can accept the position, and then you, based on the manager's answer, is what you can decide about your vacation. So nice work on that. And here is one more scheduling scenario. You just started a new job, and the hours you were hired for are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Wednesday to Saturday. Your son goes to daycare, and they're only open Monday through Fridays. So let's go through and see if these are solutions or not solutions. I'm going to move just a little bit faster because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for Jeopardy at the end. So I'm going to just read these off. Just let me know in the chat if you think it's a solution or not a solution. Before accepting the position, hire a nanny or babysitter to work on Saturdays. Isabel, go ahead.
What's a nanny?
Like a babysitter.
Oh.
I agree, you guys. That's definitely a solution. Is this a solution or not a solution? Decline the job because this schedule is not conducive to your life at this time. Yeah, more than likely you can come up with a solution for this, so I wouldn't jump to this conclusion initially. I would see if you can work around it and see if you can figure out a good way to work, to come up with some kind of solution here. And Anna's right, nannies can cost a lot, but hopefully since you're only paying for 1 day a week, you could find someone who you trust that's really cost effective. The next one says, before accepting the position, research care facilities that have hours that might work better with your new schedule. Yeah, absolutely. You guys are correct. Yes, that could be a doing the legwork and really getting in the research to see if there's a local area that does have Saturday scheduling for services. And Hannah actually hit on the next one. Discuss with your new employer about the possibility of eventually moving to a Monday through Friday schedule. And that's exactly what Hannah said. She said, talk to your boss and see if you could actually work the days the daycare is open. That would be a great solution to see if maybe there's an option there for just adjusting your schedule some. Solution or not a solution, call in sick every Saturday. No, you guys are absolutely right. That is not a solution. If you had something crazy come up one time, calling in might be an option, but that is not a scheduling solution for a normal thing. All right, last scenario. It says you forgot to set your alarm. You just woke up and you're supposed to get work in 12 minutes and you still need to get dressed, eat breakfast, walk your dog, and walk to work, which usually takes you a full hour altogether. Do you have a backup plan? What should you do now? So solution or not a solution? You should roll over and go back to sleep. No reason to worry. You'll be fired for being late anyways. No, you guys are absolutely correct. You should not just roll over and go back to sleep. Even if you know you are not going to make it into work today, you should still call your boss and let them know that what has happened, that you slept through your alarm and that you're working on getting into work. Next one says, throw on your clothes and run out the door. Show up 10 minutes to work and explain when you get there. Ignore all your other responsibilities because your job is the only thing that matters. Yeah, this one was a little bit of a trick because some of this is true. You should definitely throw on your work clothes, get it dressed as quickly as you possibly can, and let your boss know that you're running late. But you probably need to walk the dog before you go to work, and you have other responsibilities in life. So if you can walk the dog really quickly, maybe just to make sure they get to use their bathroom and that kind of stuff, and just kind of speed along your morning for sure. Could you call your boss and apologize and explain the situation? Get dressed quickly and make any other tasks as fast as possible. Everyone's been late at least one time in their lives. Just don't make a habit out of it. Absolutely, yeah. This is probably your best solution in this instance. Just trying to get there as fast as possible. What are some options that you might be able to do to reduce time? So here's the few that I came up with. Calling a cab could help you in this situation, because if you usually either walk or take the bus, it may be a little bit faster on this specific day to go ahead and hop in a cab and just get there as fast as possible. You can walk the dog just long enough for them to use the bathroom. While they may need some extra exercise when you get home that night, at least they're comfortable. Grab a granola bar instead of cooking a breakfast. That way you can just run out the door, which someone mentioned, which is awesome. For girls, choosing just a simple hairstyle. I know some days it's nice to straighten your hair or curl your hair and really look nice, but some days you may just need to put your hair up and make sure it looks nice and presentable and get on to work. Does anyone have any other ideas? Ooh, Hannah had a good idea. She said, if you have anyone that lives with you, and that actually maybe even a neighbor, if you could see if they could walk your dog in exchange for helping them out with something later. And that's a great solution, especially if you have a roommate. Kenny Faith, you can unmute.
So again, if you like live with somebody, see if they can just like maybe if you like trust them and cook you something, see if they could like cook you something real quick as you get dressed.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I know I've made lunches for my boyfriend if he's running late, or I've tried to like get his water together for the day. So really helping out. And you could do the same for a friend if you can see that they're rushing in the morning. Just kind of help tag team any things that you could help with. Noah said, find your clothes the night before in case this kind of scenario happens. And that is a big help. I know, at least to me, if you can already have your clothes laid out, so all you got to do is put them on in the morning, that's a big time saver. Meal prep, that's a good idea. If you can meal prep some, so you have your lunch ready, your breakfast ready, all you got to do is grab your Tupperware. Maybe you work somewhere that you could just heat it up when you get to work and have it real quick then. That's a great idea. All right, guys, so it is time to play Jeopardy. Let me get the Jeopardy board. Set out food and water on Sunday for the week. That's a great idea. That's meal prepping. Making sure that you have everything all packed and ready for the week. All right. Amber, are you able to see the Jeopardy board?
I can.
Okay, perfect. That means we are up. I did not name the categories because I did not, they weren't really specific. I kind of mixed and matched all the different stuff we've gone over this week. So we have categories A through D, and we have numbers 100 through 500. So if anyone wants to just rattle off like A100 or B200, whatever you guys want to start with, we will start doing some of these questions. So Brianna said B100, that's where we're going to go first. So the form that you complete at the place of employment when you are trying to get a job. Does anyone know the form that you complete at your place of employment? All right, go ahead. Brianna had her hand up first.
Application.
Absolutely, and we got a few people in the chat box that got it as well. Nice job, y'all. We're not gonna keep score. You guys can absolutely keep your own score if you would like to. But we're just kind of doing this as a recap and a review and just for fun. Next, we have A100. Answer application. Nice work. A100 says this is a piece of paper you give a possible employer that outlines your skills, achievements, and other stuff. It cut it off. Sorry, guys. Isabel?
Everyone's so quick.
Resume.
Absolutely. You guys are all 100% correct. It is a resume. Nice work. Does anyone have the next? What box are we going for next, you guys? D500. All right, D500 says appropriate accommodation or not. Requesting transportation to and from work due to your visual impairment impeding your ability to drive. I love how Noah is answering in true Jeopardy fashion. He's saying what is and then the answer. Some of these I did write in that kind of form and some I did not. I'm not gonna lie. So Michael, you are welcome to go ahead and unmute.
So I said that it is a appropriate accommodation because if you're visually impaired, you know, you won't be able to drive, but I guess I was wrong for that.
This one you may not have been on when we talked about this. We actually talked about this exact one. An appropriate accommodation for an employer begins at the workplace. So it is your responsibility to get to work, but anything within the workplace, the employer is supposed to help you with. Does that kind of clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think maybe I just didn't read it correctly.
Yeah, Anna said in the box that a lot of places will pay for mileage, which is true. My work does pay for my mileage. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're getting a job. Does anyone have a next letter and number combination they'd like to check out? What question is next? All right, I got C500 and then C300. True or false? You should share your social security number with anyone who asks for it. You guys are correct. It is false. Yeah, it's dangerous. That is a number that only is given out to specific people. In your payroll department would need your social security to pay you, but other than that, that's not a number we share. You guys are correct. All right, let me see what number was next. I just know I saw one. C300. C300 says true or false. All states have the same laws regarding employment, ages, hours, etc. Michael had his hand up.
It's false. A lot of states usually have different laws when it comes to jobs.
Absolutely, you are correct. This is false. Different states have different laws. So you need to look up what the exact laws are in your state and making sure that it doesn't vary by county in your area, because some counties have different rules about certain things. So Anna did say that the federal government has federal minimal guidelines that all states must follow. So then the states can make the laws heavier from there. So that is true. A500. True or false? You can have a job at any age. Kennedy Faith had her hand up.
False.
All right, I think Kennedy Faith says false. Isabel, you had your hand up too. Did you have something to add on there?
It is false. You cannot get a job at any age.
Absolutely, you are correct. Lower your hand. It is false. You have to be of the certain minimum guidelines for your state. It just so happened you guys picked those two back to back, so you guys got a little bit of preview on that one. All right, what number is next? D100. List 3 people or categories of people, i.e. a teacher, who might make a good reference for you. Guys, I am not blocking your mics from being muted anymore, but just make sure you raise your hand and let me call on you. That way I get the person whose hand raises first when you go to unmute. Can you guys think of, Anna said, a former manager, a teacher, and a client. Those are all awesome people to use as references. I'm getting all my R words confused here. Did anyone want to unmute and tell us their 3 people they might think of for a good reference? Isabel, go ahead.
Teachers, clients, and bosses.
Those are all great ones. Someone said TVI boss and a coworker. Someone said, what is teachers, friends, and coaches? Absolutely. Parents, teachers, and coworkers. They no longer get. All right, nice work, you guys. So previous employers, supervisors, coaches, neighbors, coworkers, teachers, family, friends. There's lots of options for this one. All right, our next one, I saw B300 just above, so we'll do B300. List 3 things that you should include in a resume. Michael, go ahead.
So first, you should have your name, that's one, your age, and you should also have your accomplishments as well. What have you done, and why do you think you should have this job? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses?
Those are all absolutely perfect answers. Yes, sir. Isabel, go ahead.
Education, experience, and skills.
Awesome. And I see some in the chat. Skills, experience, contact information, skills, experience, where you went to school, contact info, skills, and education. Those all absolutely need to be in there. My list includes name, contact information, education, skills, awards and achievements, previous or current experiences. And then I see C200. This is truth or lie. Guys, just put this one in the chat. Truth or lie. Everyone's resume should be formatted exactly the same way. Perfect. Everyone had a unanimous false or lie on this one. They do not need to be exactly the same. They should have the same information, but you can absolutely tweak it to make it your very own. Next number, D500. Oh, we're gonna go with B500 because that's only 500 left. List 2 ways of finding open positions. There's probably 20 ways of finding them. So just let us know a couple ways to find an open position. I've seen Google, online or ask around, searching online and search engines, through acquaintances, in a group based on your profession, Facebook. Asking friends, those are all great options. I had down word of mouth, advertisements, social media, job listing, social media listings, job listing websites, and a physical sign at a company. Those are just some ideas. Hannah, go ahead, hon. Oh, you lowered your hand. All right, what number is next, you guys? D100. There's a C100, so we'll knock that one out. We've already done D100. It says, is the executive director of a major corporation an appropriate position for a 17-year-old high school student to apply for? Yes or no? Michael, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to say no. Usually, in order to become an executive director, it takes many years. You have to be in that job for a pretty long time, and you have to be promoted several times.
Absolutely. That was kind of where I was going with this. No, you really need experience for that position. So learning what skills you have and where you should start. A lot of jobs, you're going to work your way up the ladder, so to speak. So, all right, next letter. We've only got a couple minutes left. We may not quite finish. What letter is next, you guys? C400. List one option for a local agency that supports the visually impaired working in your community. DBVI, absolutely. White House, yep. So the ones that we have around me, I listed the Division of Blind Services, the American Printing House for the Blind, Lighthouse for the Blind, Vision Rehab Centers, or Vocational Rehab Centers. And there is lots of other options out there. And every state and community has a different name for theirs too. So just knowing what your area has for options. All right, guys, we probably have time for one or two more. Does anyone want to pick one more letter? We've got lots of A's and lots of D's left. 2, 3, C200. C200 says the event where a manager asks you questions about yourself and your ability to perform the job requirements. What is this event? Michael, go ahead.
It's called a interview.
Absolutely, and everyone in the chat got that one right too. That is your interview.
I think people were paying attention this week.
Yeah, they were. All right. I'm going to go with B400. Truth or lie? A resume includes your work and volunteer experiences, education, skills, strengths, and achievements. Absolutely, that is the truth, that your resume should include all of those things. All right, this one says, a person that will tell a possible employer good things about you. What is that person called? Yay, we had unanimous. That is your reference. You guys are correct. Nice work. Let's see. We're definitely not getting through 5 more questions in 1 minute, but we will try 1 or 2 more. Appropriate or not appropriate for an interview? Jeans and a t-shirt. Michael, go ahead.
So I'm gonna have to say that this is inappropriate. Jeans and t-shirts are usually unprofessional. They're unprofessional. They're more like casual.
Absolutely, you are correct. Nice work, y'all. All right, let me jump back over to our PowerPoint for just a minute so we can talk about what your extension activity for today is. It says use your JAWS or ZoomText software to research transportation in your area. Pick a job near your house and determine 3 methods for getting to work. Use options such as walking, taxis, Uber, buses, and any other option available in your area. Determine the cost of this ride and the time it will take you. Make a list of the options and determine which is the best option for a first and backup choice. Did anyone have any questions before we get kicked out? Yes, and clothing is absolutely dependent on your work setting. You wear exactly what is functional in your working environment. If there's only one way to get to work, then that is going to have to be your primary way to get to work. You are right. Sorry to rush it a little bit at the end here, guys, but we had so much information to go over with you guys, and you guys did so awesome on Jeopardy, and we want to thank you for having us and joining us all week long. We had so much fun.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Jen and
everyone.
Amber. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fabulous class. All of you in virtual land out there, give a round of applause for Jen and Amber for putting together great career camp. This has been wonderful. So thank you both so much. Hope to have you back again sometime. Thank you to all of our campers for joining us, and thank you to our closed captioner for providing us information. I'm going to let you all go. Have a great rest of your summer.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you for everything.
Bye.